Welcome to the Daggers and Silk podcast. I'm your host, Rain Lovelace, and within this space, we will be learning to be strong and hardy like a dagger, but also soft and human like silk, cutting away societal scripts, softening ourselves from the armor and walls we built against ourselves and the world through philosophy and knowledge. Join us for this episode for another taste in your true, authentic self, layer by layer. Hi guys, welcome. This is episode 3 of the Daggers and Silk podcast. We are going to be talking about something pretty cool today and something no one talks about in the self-love industry, in my opinion, and it really pisses me off. So we're going to be talking about not only why self-love is important, which is what we did in the last episode, not only what to do when you love yourself, but how. Why is it so hard for people to grasp this when they are teaching people about self love? And it made it so much harder on my journey because I would go to podcaster after podcaster after podcaster, and I couldn't learn really anything on my own that was practical just with those podcasters. I had to do it individually. And that was upsetting, right? Because I needed some direction. So I'm here to give you guys direction on how to be self loving. Because we all know we want to be self loving now because you watched the last episode. But what do we do after that? Because not everyone knows that. So today we're going to be going over 11 tips that have helped me cultivate my self-love. And if you were on my Instagram, you saw a little sneak peek. If you guys haven't checked out my Instagram, too bad. You guys should get on there, first of all. But second of all, I gave a little sneak peek on the top 6, but I didn't elaborate on any of them. So in this episode, I'm going to be elaborating on all of them and in more depth. So let's start off with number 1. So this one may seem basic. I mentioned it in past episodes, but I think this is something that needs to be elaborated on, or else it does sound very basic. But it is creating a Pinterest me board. Okay, so I did this, and it is super important because I was always struggling throughout my journey loving myself because I would look at myself and I'd be like, well, I don't even know who I am. It's hard to love something that you can't conceptualize or feel or identify in your mind. So what I did was I went on Pinterest and I created a board for myself, and I made all the pictures that would come up on my feed that reminded me of myself on there. And then over time, it's funnily enough, all the things kind of have the same vibe and stuff. So self love for me in this situation was the idea that people are just so complex. You can't just love them when you don't know how to conceptualize them. So I conceptualize them in a feeling or an understanding. I'm a visual learner, so Pinterest was perfect for me because it created this almost like feeling of myself to understand kind of who I am. And disclaimer for this, you always have to understand that we as humans are multifaceted, and you can't just decide I'm this way and then this is the only way I am. Like, that's just not how it works. You have to keep growing and learning and not base your whole identity off of a Pinterest board, right? But it does help form that sense of identity and form that idea of self in order to cultivate self-love. So it's basically, the idea of this is romanticizing yourself. If you guys don't know what I mean by romanticizing, I mean making like little tiny mundane things or little just unrelevant tasks just seem very special, and you do that with yourself. So it's like making yourself seem more interesting, looking and appreciating every single thing. And being grateful in a way, you know? So that's kind of what I did. My Pinterest board looked a little bit like, I don't know, very like whimsical, very downtown girl aesthetic. I don't know how to explain it, but it really helped cultivate this like, oh, and very like educated look. Like I really value education, and I'm now like integrating that into my identity because of the Pinterest me board, you know? Because you can't really see yourself as certain ways. And as much as I don't think that labeling is a good thing to do to people, because it's like to label is to limit, right? Or to define is to limit, right? But as humans, we can't conceptualize the vastness of humans. So that's kind of what we have to work with, you know? So for number 2, I wanted to talk about affirmations. So I know what you're all thinking. You're like, listen, lady, affirmations don't work. They're fake. No, there's science back behind them. But you have to use them right. Because some people use affirmations and they don't do them right. Because your brain only will sink in affirmations at certain times of the day in certain ways, and you have to make sure you understand all of that. So, where is the science behind this? So, affirmations are basically a label, kind of what we were talking about, that you have in a Pinterest board or what you want to be. And like, I am strong, I am competent, I am educated, I am bubbly, I'm excited, you know, just little things like that, anything you want. And those are affirmations. And the idea of them is that you have had different, so when you are little, like 5 years old, you have basically a sponge for a brain, and you're just soaking up everything. And that can be a good thing depending on your upbringing or what you've been exposed to, but that can also be a very bad thing because sometimes we aren't exposed to the right things and we are exposed to bad affirmatory practices. So, like, I'm not good enough, I don't like myself, nobody loves me type things. And those, even if you're not aware of them because it is subconscious, those do just get ingrained in your head. And sometimes you just gotta shake it up in there and add some new ideas and more of like a growth mindset into there. Because your mind is really what you put into it, and what you put in your mind is what comes out. So that is super, super important, right? So I did this thing with my mom and my sister for 30 days. No, I did that. Yeah, I did it for 30 days. And what we called it is the ceremony of the rose. And this is something my mom and our hippie household kind of cultivated or created. We basically, every day for a month, we sat down, we created a relaxing environment, and we put on calm lighting, candles, stuff like that, and we grab tea, anything that sensorily calms you down or mentally, physically, anything. You just want to feel as comfortable as possible. And we did that. We wrote down affirmations in our journal that we were going to use for the whole month. And every single time we would go chill and just drink our tea for a minute, get into the mode, and then we would go find a mirror, and then we would read our affirmations in the mirror. And the trick with this is you have to look at yourself with a loving look. And that feels so uncomfortable, right? Because you're like, that's a little weird, you know? It's really not weird, though. It helps your mind understand, like, oh, this is a safe person for me. I am safe within myself, you know? So, what's the science behind this? So, if you want to rewire your brain, reprogram your brain, and basically take out all that water that was in the sponge of your brain that was just so negative, and like squeeze that out and then put some new water in, that needs to be done in a specific way, right? So affirmations we talked about already, but it's super important to do them while your brain is in a theta state, because you're trying to incorporate these into your subconscious mind, not your conscious mind. So if you're doing it when you're completely conscious and super alert and awake, it's not going to work the same way, because that's integrating that into your conscious mind. So if you want to get that into your subconscious mind, you're going to have to really just read those affirmations, and you're going to have to be in a mode that isn't as alert, and it's more like like that. If you guys have ever meditated, that's called the theta state of mind. So that's the state of mind you want to be in, but you really just need to get into that state of mind in order to get on this roll, of reprogramming your mind. So make sure you're in that state. Maybe do it before bed, while you're winding down, getting ready for bed. Put on calming music. And yeah, so that was one thing we did. Also, oh my gosh, you guys need to do this. It's super pricey, but so worth it. I don't even know where I'd be right now without it. My life would be crazy. Um but what I was gonna tell you is the theta chamber. For those of you who don't know what a theta chamber is, which I'm guessing most of you don't because it's not a super common thing, it is this chamber that's basically kind of looks like an alien pod, so it's a little weird looking, but it has people are being put through it in the army, and they are getting through their army training twice as fast. So like cut down like halfway. So like a 2-year training is turning into a 1-year training, because what the theta chamber does is connect the two hemispheres of your brain and basically heals your brain and that your subconscious mind, and you say like lots of affirmations in it, and it puts you into that theta state of mind in order to reprogram, and it heals your brain. I did that for 51 days, and it was a life-changing experience. It was super crazy, and oh my god, I don't even know. I can't stress to you guys enough that you need to try Theta Chamber. It will change your life for sure, and I love it. So, yeah. So, number 3 is being aware of your thoughts and inner monologue, because this correlates back to what we were talking about with the subconscious mind. You need to be aware of what you're thinking and what programs are running. If you think of a thought, then you need to spin that around and be like I'm not enough. I'm a terrible person. Spin that around and be like, oh, that's just a false programming that is soaked up in my sponge when I was like 8 years old, And just be like, squish it out and then put some new water in and be like, I am good enough. Look at me. I'm doing crazy stuff. Like right now, like, gosh, Rain, good job. You're starting this podcast. Your life is crazy right now, but you are choosing not to be a victim because of it and alchemizing all that. Like, look at you. Like, maybe you're getting a little nervous on this podcast episode. Maybe you had to pause it a couple times. Maybe you're going to have to edit some things. But, like, look at you. Look at you going out here, trying it, spending this whole day on podcast stuff, trying to upload your podcast to different platforms, going on YouTube. Like, good job, So, it's kind of about reframing your mindset and being aware of what your thoughts are. So sometimes just like take a moment in a day and just think like, oh, what have my thoughts been like today? What have I noticed myself like subconsciously thinking? And take that and just kind of build a habit of breaking down that negative program or channel that you have been getting throughout your life, because slowly you'll build that habit, and slowly every time you have a negative thought, you're easily able to reframe it, and it's so nice. I love it. Okay, so number 4 is one of my favorite ones. It's treating yourself like a friend. And this one just makes me really happy because the funny thing about friendship is that we are always looking for someone like us. Like people who we want to date. We're always looking for compatibility. We're always looking for people who are generally a lot like us. So why are we not friends with ourselves, you guys? And I love this one because it's just like it's fun. It's like connecting to that almost inner child energy and just being like having fun with yourself, making inside jokes, laughing at yourself, and just doing things you would do with a friend but with yourself and building that connection and almost kinesthetic relationship with yourself, you know? So this one was one of my favorites, and I cannot stress enough how important this is because if you look at yourself like a challenge to be overcome or anything like that, like even me, my problem is like I don't know if you guys have gotten to the overthinking point of self love yet, but I totally have. I will judge myself for not being self loving. Like I will be self hating against my inability to be self loving sometimes. So it's kind of but that's like treating myself like a challenge rather than a friend. So I really like that, and I think that it's really fun. So also like a way to incorporate this is solo dating. Solo dating is so much fun, you guys. I I don't think I actually ended up doing this one time, but I was like, I'm gonna go to this restaurant by my house and I'm just gonna chill by myself, go to the restaurant, take myself out to eat, and cultivate that self love within myself and just spending time alone and in a solitary way. So try that out. Sometimes I just do simple things like I'll go on a picnic with myself or I will go on a walk with myself. Just it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but the more investment you're putting into yourself, the better. But the point isn't to show yourself how self-loving you are. It's to show yourself not it's not even to show yourself, it's to create a relationship with yourself. And kind of just having that solitary time, kind of like with the watching your monologue, just that solitary time to spend time with yourself, focus on yourself because the noise of being around people and friends and stuff is great, but it doesn't allow you to just sit down within yourself and kind of look at what's going on. Like, how am I doing today? What are my passions? What are my goals? Talk to yourself like you're on a date, you know? And last thing for number 4 is smile at yourself. Like I just like right now I'm looking into this camera and I'm just like just smiling at myself. I look so pretty and I am really really tired today and I did not want to be doing this today, but like look at me go. Look at me go. And even if I didn't, like that'd be totally fine too. But just like smiling at myself and like looking at myself like wow, look at that cute little quirky freaking girl that is just going to kill it in life, you know? And just smile at yourself, acknowledge yourself, you know? And it helps cultivate that. Okay, so number 5 is make a list of things you like about yourself. Now, this one cannot be discretional. You have to just put down everything. You can't even put down like it could be even like a terrible thing like you're like you could be a little ego. It can just like, well, I really like my sass, you know? And you just cannot be discretional with anything that you put down. So just I like the way I talk when I say this. I like this value that I hold. Or for example, I love it when I do this for other people or myself. Mine was more values most of the time. Like, I love that I'm so kind. I love that I'm so smart. I love that I'm so hardworking. Or I am hardworking. Hardworking. Just write down a list of things that you like about yourself. And the nice thing about this is it just kind of creates a lack of judgment for yourself, and it makes you notice things like you'll write that down, then you'll go throughout the day and you'll do a nice thing, and then you look back to when you wrote, I'm a nice person. And then you'll be like, oh, I have something to reinforce that, and kind of creating that portfolio for yourself, which we're going to talk about a little later too. So, I think this is where we left off on Instagram. It's number 6, fake it till you make it. Now, this can be taken wrong in a very, very negative way because you don't want to be faking anything. Like, this podcast is all about authenticity, right? But you do want to do the things you do if you had already made it, So, if you were already self-loving, what would you be doing right now? Would you be staying in this situationship you're in right now? Would you be eating the foods you are right now? Would you be doing the lack of exercise you are right now? Or even deeper than that, would you be even just sitting the way you are right now? Like, would you be sitting with like better posture? Like, just look at yourself like faking it till you make it, Because the truth is, self-love and healing is an ongoing process, and it genuinely never ends. So you guys can't wait to be perfect until you're done, like you've learned self-love and stuff, because that's not how it works. It's a oscillating process where it just goes up and down and up and down and ebbs and flows. So that's what I mean by fake it till you make it. And this one is just more like a chill kind of thing, because I'm not giving you any specific instruction on what to do in this step. It's just like, what would it look like for you if you were a self-lover? Okay, so number 7 kind of correlates back to the solo dating thing we were talking about, which is being alone with yourself. So being alone with yourself is just so, so important, because you need to be cultivating that relationship with yourself, and like being almost like someone you would marry, like giving yourself that investment, that time, that energy, and just learning to like being alone, because a lot of us don't want to be alone, not just because we're social beings and we're extroverts, but because whatever's down there deep inside of us really scares us. And sometimes we just need to bite the bullet and just be like, okay, I'm sick of this. I refuse to be in fear anymore of myself, and I'm going to go be alone. Number 8 is kind of a little bit going back to the camel, lion, child idea that I went over in the first episode or trailer of the podcast. And it is just like, just make an effort to be more like you were as a child. Watch videos from when you were a child. Ask your family what you were like as a child. And just make an effort to like get back into that authentic, pure, raw version of yourself. I did this with my mom, and it was super fun. I interrogated her for like 3 hours. It was great, and we had a good time. And we watched videos online about like videos on YouTube of like me as a kid. I was just the happiest, go luckiest kid ever. I was just always like just chilling and happy and so expressive, and I just loved anything creative, like dance, singing. I was like just always, always, always so expressive and just really happy go lucky is how my mom described me. And I also just loved learning. So I'm making like an active effort to kind of embody that and become who I was more like as a child, because that's who I am purely and authentically. And it's just like, who on earth has like seen a pretty chill child and like thought like, oh my gosh, I hate that freaking little monster. Like, no, you're always like, oh my gosh, they're so cute, I love kids. Or at least that's how it is for me. Like, it's so hard to hate a child because they really are just sweet and innocent and pure and authentic. So, number 9 is super, super important. And I asked you guys to note this in the last episode, I believe. But I'm mentioning it again because you guys need to do this. Track your progress. If you are not tracking your progress, you're going to feel like you're going nowhere in life and nowhere in your self-love journey, and you're not going to understand how worthy you are. So making a progress track of worthiness almost. So just every day, like maybe do like a shadow work, journaling entry, just like what did I do that made me worthy today? And again, this has no judgment, no discretion. It could be even like I was like it made me feel worthy that I was people pleasing today. That's perfectly okay because that's a program and just dissect that in the journal too. But the point is just write down things that made you worthy. And slowly over time, you'll realize how worthy you truly are. And number 10, compliment yourself as much as humanly possible. Literally do not stop. Like I could sit here, like you could say so many compliments to yourself right now. Like you'd never run out of compliments. You could say, "Wow, your hair's shiny, like your skin is glowing. Oh my gosh, you were so articulate and this podcast is so awesome and your posture's great and you're such a good sister, you're such a good mom. And look at what you're doing with your life." Like there's so many different compliments you can give yourself. So give yourself as many compliments as you want with every single thing you're doing. Like if you ever like create a habit of just complimenting yourself because we need something to balance the amount of judgment and self-hatred we give ourselves because we're always so critical. Like how many of you guys have gone in a mirror and ever like just sat there and tried to notice everything that you liked about yourself or what you find pretty? No, most of the time we use mirrors as a type of like we just kind of dissect and criticize. So complimenting yourself as much as humanly possible or go in a mirror, like it's fine to judge yourself. Like that's biology. That's human nature to look at yourself and groom yourself and make sure you're presentable, right? But you also want to go in front of the mirror and also think like, okay, like what's like making me beautiful? Like, oh my gosh, I even though I don't really like the way my nose is shaped or some shit like that, I just love the almond beautiful shape of my eyes and my just not even the shape. Like I love the way, like the color and the depth of my eyes and how it correlates to my personality. Like you can go as far as you want. This is yourself and no one's here to judge you. So that brings us to our last one, which is values. So this one is, oh my gosh, guys, I saved the best for last. So this is what I did with my mom, and I didn't even know it lead to self love. Maybe I'm just leading everything to self love, you guys. Maybe I'm just getting a little obsessed, but that's okay. But my mom, she had a list of values, and she's just like, okay, I want you guys to start out maybe by grabbing 10 of these values that you value most, then like 5, then or just like bring it down to like around 5. I had to do 6. I could not narrow it down to 5. And she's like, "Okay, and those are your like main values in life." So, what I did in that case is I went through all of them and she had us also define it once we got through it. So, what I'm telling you guys to do is go online, find the list of values. Like it could be being noble, or it could be kindness, it could be security, just any values whatsoever, love, freedom, connection, and go through that, narrow them down, then define them, and then write what each one means for you. So I did this, and the reason this helped cultivate self-love for me is that when I did it, I just felt like, oh my gosh, like this is literally my essence. Mine was happiness, like slash meaning, truth, love, knowledge, intelligence, and beauty. And I just felt like that just opened me up. I'm like, holy crap, that's like what I feel like I am at my core, like those qualities. And it kind of just helped me have this like flip mindset of myself, just like, oh, that's who I am at my core, that's my soul. And like I mentioned earlier, like I just love my eyes so much, guys. I'm so obsessed because it is the window to your soul. And when I like look into my eyes, I'm just like, that's what I see. I see love, I see beauty, I see meaning, I see happiness, I see truth, I see intelligence, and I see knowledge or wisdom. And I see all that within myself. And it's just a really, really beautiful thing. So that is all of those, and I hope this helped you in some way or another and helped you cultivate your self love and just create self love rather than acting like you have self love when you don't. Like really actionable, homeworky type steps to bring you closer to yourself. And yeah, just learning that it's okay to put yourself first and what that looks like. So, thank you guys. That brings us to the end. Thank you for joining me for this episode. I hope it impacted you. If it did, please remember to follow, comment, and share. It really helps support the podcast so I can continue to make helpful content. Again, thank you, and make sure to join me next Saturday for another episode. Bye, guys.